can't believe it. We're already at the last corporate presentation today. We'll be joined by Gary Cope. He's president and CEO over at the Barsele Minerals. We're going now to North Sweden again, and Barsele is in the process of acquiring the Barsele project back from Agnico, and I'm looking forward to an update there, how things are progressing. And Gary, it's good to see you again.
Good to see you, Kai. Thanks for having me.
Oh, for sure.
Okay. Again, thanks for having me, Kai. It's like you say, we're in the middle of an acquisition of Agnico's 55% interest in the project, and that's been a learning experience for me, going from a junior explorer and buying out the senior. Usually it's the other way around, and but this deposit or this project warrant us doing this, and it's been a learning experience. So with that, I'll continue on. I will be making some forward-looking statements, so that's the disclaimer. I won't say too much about our group. We're a very experienced group, very well known. We've done joint ventures with 5 or 6 of the majors, including Agnico, Pan American Silver, Fresnillo. We've sold the project to First Majestic. We've had a JV with Hecla. Enough said. It's a very experienced team, and 2 things about our group that I'd like to point out is, one, we invest our own money quite heavily in our own projects. You'll see that with any of the companies in the Belcara group. And 2, we believe in putting the shareholders' money into the ground. That's one of the reasons that these major companies have allowed us to be the operator in some of the circumstances. Just a quick capital structure. 130 million shares outstanding. When we get this deal done with Agnico, they'll and properly finance it for our very large program that we've got planned for the project, will probably be somewhere around 170 to 180 million shares out, with Agnico owning 15% and management owning 25%, and 3 or 4 key institutional shareholders that own a big chunk, 50%. Ingalls and Snyder, Donald Smith are both in New York. The Contrarian Group is headed by Peter Uberoff in Newport Beach, and a very good friend and a very loyal shareholder in all our group. Where we are, you just listened to a presentation of the company in Sweden. We're a little further north than they are, 600 kilometers north of Stockholm. Sweden's a very interesting company for mining. The north half of the country is very mining friendly, forestry. Those are the 2 main industries in the northern half of the country. A lot of people don't know Sweden's the #1 metals producer in Europe. A lot of that is iron ore from the far north. And of course, Boliden and Lundin Mining got their start in Sweden. Our project is located at the intersection of 2 main belts. The VMS belt, which also known as the Boliden belt, it goes east-west across Sweden, and then the gold trend is north-south. We have both styles of mineralization on the property. We have a small VMS, which I won't talk too much about. It's blue sky, and Agnico certainly believes that there's more to be found on the VMS side, but our plans are to focus on the gold zone and to add ounces to the current 2.4 million ounces that are there now in gold. Why Sweden? Sweden is one of the best jurisdictions in the world. It has low taxation, 22% flat tax. There's some talk about lowering that to 20%. Cheapest power in the world. We just saw a crypto deal do a deal in Sweden for 1.6 cents a kilowatt. Power is a huge component of the cost of mining, so that bodes well. We've got water. We've got a very highly productive labor force that's very mining savvy, and roads, rail, everything goes right through the property. It's incredible, the infrastructure this far north. We mentioned the deal with Agnico. Won't get into too much. Basically, there's 4 parts of the deal, and 2 of them we're going to be responsible for paying. One is $45 million US in cash, and 15% of our shares at closing will go to Agnico. So the other 2 will be for a major when we sell it, and we're very confident that we will be able to sell it. We want to add at least 1.5 million ounces before we get to that. We know where we can add that, and it's right under the resource. It just needs some deeper drilling and some infill. Agnico will get a 2% NSR, and they will get 2.5 million for every 1 million ounces we add to the project, but that won't be paid for 10 years change of control or a production decision. So that will be paid by the miner that comes in and buys this project. And oh, by the way, we're already talking to miners who know that we're acquiring 100% of this project and are already very, very interested and asking about when they can go visit and things like that. So what do we plan on doing with the project is to refocus the drilling on the gold zone. Agnico, for a number of reasons, and we won't get into that, but a number of reasons, they were more focused on the massive sulfide component, and they firmly believe there'll be more found. The problem with that is you, in massive sulfides, they've been drilling blind, and they knew they had the 2.4 million ounces of gold in the trend, the gold trend, but most of their budget went to VMS. So while we would have preferred them to drill in the gold zone, you know, they made a corporate decision to go after massive sulfides. We're going to change that, and our plan is to drill a minimum of 30,000 meters in the first year and a half, and grow the 2.4 million ounces to at least 3.4 or hopefully more than that. It's just a matter of how much drilling, how many drills we can get on the property as quick as possible. Here's just a little map of the gold zone, which is the Avan to Skirase in the bottom, and the little massive sulfide is the Nora zone. We'll be focusing on Avan and Central and Skirase. The yellow is the current resource. You can see there's a lot of gaps that need to be filled in. We know this deposit goes down at least 1 kilometer from our drilling. We've got holes down 950, 975, and the grade actually starts to look like it's getting better at depth. The current resource only goes down to 4.25 due to drill spacing and the number of drills that have gone that depth. So if you double the depth from 425 to 850, you double the resource. So we will be focusing on that as well as infill drilling. And this resource was done in 2019, and Agnico has done a lot of drilling since then, and a lot of great hits that aren't in the resource. So we already know the resource is growing even before we start. The gold zone, the resource is only in the first 3 kilometers of an 8-kilometer trend. There's 5 kilometers that basically is underexplored. We have drilled, and Agnico has drilled at the very end of the 8 kilometers and in a place called Risberget, and there's another resource shaping up there. We've had some really good results similar to, you know, the resource results down there, and more drilling needs to be done down there, and but it will certainly become part of the next resource. And like I mentioned, the resource average is 450 meters depth. We'll be going deeper, and we've got Agnico, nice of Agnico to discover 2 new discoveries last fall that need following up. One is these very, very high grade bonanza veins that have been discovered at Avan. You might have seen one of the results was 5 meters of 84 grams gold. Those are all being followed up and will be followed up by us. That's obviously not only going to add ounces to the resource, it's going to add grade. You start throwing those kind of grades in, and our 2.6 or 2.7 gram average is going to go up. We believe it'll go up to over 3, which bodes really well for a combination open pit and bulk underground and some select underground mining, which will all be done simultaneously. We also have a new discovery at a place called Bastuträsk, and Bastuträsk was a completely blind drilling. It's 4 kilometers off the gold trend, and lo and behold, one of the holes hit a meter of 32 grams gold, and the other ones all hit gold, and they drilled them in all different directions because nobody knows what this thing is and what the orientation of it is. And again, another new area that's going to add ounces. It's got high grade, obviously, and we're very excited to include that in our new plan as well. This is the high grade hit zone that was done at Avan in the 5 meters of 84 grams. You can see Agnico's got a 200 by 200 by 700 zone that needs drilling. Risberget, we already talked about, that's at the end of the 8-kilometer trend. You can see it also hit a very high grade hit of a meter of 248 grams. So we may have a high grade zones in there that are need to be figured out, the orientation and also adding to ounces. There's also a different hole that hit 32 meters of almost 3 grams. So you can see size there as well. 1,300 meters in length and over 200 meters in width and open in all directions. That's kind of just a quick map where you see how things sit. You can see Bastuträsk 4 kilometers to the east, Risberget down in the bottom, and Nora, the little VMS, and some of the other targets on the VMS. There's Bastuträsk. You can just see that they drilled in every different direction, trying to figure out after they hit the 32 grams what the heck's going on. But you can see there's a 1.65 of almost 6 grams. You also hit nickel and copper and cobalt, which it's a different animal than the gold zone. We don't see those minerals in the gold zone. So lots to figure out here, but very good upside. Metallurgy that Agnico done is excellent, almost 93% recovery rate in a first pass, of which 50 to 60 is going to be recovered through gravity circuit. It doesn't get any better than that, and then the rest will go into a closed circuit cyanide, which is the preferred method of mining and quite common in this area. This was a quick graph that National Bank did back in 2019 that had Barsele being their pick as the best company in a 10% change in the gold price. Now that we own 100%, we hope we'll see this happen for sure.
Gary, and this is just to the upside, right? It's not negative, like gold goes down 10%, you drop by 60%, correct?
Well, we never went up, so, because, Agnico kind of ignored the gold zone. So we will not be ignoring the gold zone, and our shareholders are going to get rewarded for that.
Okay, great. I do have to jump in here, though, Gary, because we're running out of time on the presentation. But just because I saw you postpone, but extend the agreement with Agnico, the LOI, I just want to get a quick update what it looks like. Is it the summer doldrums that are pushing things out a bit? Just give us a quick update on how it's looking on the financing and everything.
Well, as you know, BMO looks after that end for us, and BMO's putting together, they've talked to numerous parties, and then getting the interested parties to work together has been the tough part. Everybody wants to be senior secured and doesn't want to share, but I think we'll have positive news very soon, and sign the definitive agreement, and then it'll be let's go.
Off to the races. Fantastic. Yeah, 30,000 meters you said you're planning to drill. When can you start drilling? Like 30,000 meters? When do you start?
Well, we'd start right away, but it's a matter of getting the drills. it's hard to get drills aren't hard. It's hard to find drillers in Scandinavia right now. Finland's very busy. Sweden's very busy. So it's a matter of, is it a couple of months before we can get a drill, and maybe we'd like 3 or 4 drills going. So don't know. That's an if.
Yeah. No, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's close the deal first. Let's get that transaction done, and then we can talk in more detail all about the exploration drilling, because I want to ask you a bit more about like where are you putting the drills, immediate targets, and of course immediate upside. Well, Gary, thank you so much for joining us. Really insightful presentation. Good luck on closing the financing, and we'll catch up again very soon.